Let's talk about something that feels almost universal these days: brain fog. That frustrating sense of mental cloudiness, the struggle to focus, to find words, or even to stay present in the moment. It's that gnawing feeling that your mind is moving through quicksand instead of the sharp clarity you know it's capable of. We live in a culture that thrives on productivity, on constant motion, and relentless multitasking. We're told to be everywhere, do everything, and feel it all without pausing. But what if the antidote to this fog isn't doing more but doing less? What if the cure lies in simplicity? Here's the thing: clarity begins when we make space for it. It's not about forcing ourselves into focus, but cultivating the conditions where our minds can naturally find their rhythm again. And that starts with one simple but profound habit: rest. I'm not just talking about sleep, although let's face it, sleep is a cornerstone of mental clarity. I'm talking about the kind of rest that gives your brain permission to breathe. It's turning off the constant flow of information, the endless scrolling, and the pressure to always be on. Rest looks like a walk outside without your phone. It looks like staring out the window, letting your thoughts wander. It looks like giving yourself grace when your brain doesn't fire on all cylinders. But simplicity isn't just about rest, it's about nourishment. And I don't mean kale smoothies, although hey, if that works for you, go for it. It's about nourishing your brain with silence, with laughter, with moments that remind you why you're here in the first place. The moments that anchor you in joy and connection. And lastly, simplicity is about honesty. It's about acknowledging the truth that we can't think clearly when we're carrying too much stress, too much worry, too much noise. Simplicity demands that we let go of the things that weigh us down, even when it's uncomfortable to do so. It's not easy, but it's necessary. So the cure to brain fog isn't in some miracle supplement or productivity hack. It's in reclaiming what's already ours: time to rest, space to think, and permission to simply be. When we strip away the excess, clarity has a way of showing up on its own. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there, or stared at your computer screen, unable to string a single coherent thought together? That sensation of mental sluggishness, where everything feels just a little out of reach, is what we commonly call brain fog. It's not just a fleeting feeling, it's an experience that so many of us have come to know intimately in today's fast-paced, high-pressure world. Brain fog is more than just being tired or distracted. It's a deeper sense of mental cloudiness. You might find yourself unable to concentrate, struggling to find the right words during a conversation, or feeling like your thoughts are moving through molasses instead of flowing freely. While it's not a medical diagnosis, brain fog is a real and tangible challenge that affects our ability to think clearly, make decisions, and engage fully in our lives. One of the most disheartening aspects of brain fog is how isolating it can feel. When your mind isn't functioning at its best, it's easy to think, what's wrong with me? You might compare yourself to others who seem sharper or more productive and wonder why you're falling short. But the truth is, brain fog is incredibly common. It's not a reflection of your abilities or worth, it's a natural response to the demands and stressors of modern life. Think about the world we live in. We are constantly bombarded with information, emails, social media notifications, news updates, and a never-ending stream of to-do lists. Our brains, which evolved to focus on one thing at a time, are now expected to juggle multiple tasks simultaneously and process an overwhelming amount of data. It's no wonder we sometimes feel like our mental circuits are overloaded. But it's not just the external pressures that contribute to brain fog. Internal factors such as lack of sleep, poor nutrition, dehydration, and stress play a significant role as well. When we're not giving our bodies and minds the care they need, it becomes increasingly difficult for us to think clearly and stay focused. Imagine trying to drive a car with an empty gas tank or navigate a dense fog without headlights. This is what it feels like for our brains when they're not operating at full capacity. Brain fog doesn't discriminate. It can affect anyone, regardless of age, profession, or lifestyle. Students might experience it during intense periods of study, while professionals encounter it when juggling tight deadlines or long hours. Parents often feel its weight when managing the endless responsibilities of caregiving, and even retirees can face brain fog as they navigate changes in routine or health. It's a shared human experience, and recognizing its universality is the first step toward addressing it. What makes brain fog particularly challenging is how it impacts every aspect of our lives. At work, it can hinder our creativity, problem solving, and productivity. In our personal lives, it can make us irritable, less present, and more prone to misunderstandings. Even our sense of self can take a hit, as brain fog can make us feel less confident, capable, or in control. Despite its prevalence, brain fog is often misunderstood or dismissed. It's easy to brush it off as just a bad day or a phase we'll eventually snap out of. But ignoring the signs of mental fatigue only allows the fog to thicken. We need to take brain fog seriously, not as a cause for alarm, but as an important signal from our bodies and minds that something needs attention. One of the most empowering realizations about brain fog is that it's not permanent. While it can feel all-encompassing in the moment, it is often a temporary state that we can address with intentional action. Understanding the root causes of brain fog, whether they stem from lifestyle choices, stress, or underlying health issues, allows us to take steps toward greater clarity and focus. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to when brain fog tends to creep in. Is it after a night of poor sleep? Following hours of screen time? During periods of high stress or emotional overwhelm? Recognizing the patterns can help you identify what your mind and body might be lacking. From there, small changes can make a big difference. Prioritize sleep, as it is the cornerstone of cognitive function. Hydrate regularly and nourish your body with balanced, wholesome meals. Take breaks throughout the day to step away from screens and engage in activities that refresh your mind, such as a walk in nature, deep breathing exercises, or even moments of quiet reflection. Equally important is creating boundaries around your time and energy. It's okay to say no to things that drain you or to step back when you feel overwhelmed. Give yourself permission to rest without guilt. And remember that taking care of yourself is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Finally, remember that you're not alone. Brain fog is a universal struggle, and talking about it openly can help break the stigma. Share your experiences with friends, family, or colleagues. You might be surprised at how many people can relate. Together, we can support each other in finding clarity amidst the chaos. So, the next time you find yourself lost in the haze of brain fog, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is not a personal failing. It's a signal that your mind needs care and attention. With patience, awareness, and a commitment to making small but meaningful changes, you can navigate your way back to clarity. Our culture promotes overproductivity. It's an undeniable truth of the times we live in. The world today values constant motion, this relentless drive to always be doing, achieving, or improving. Think about the language we use around productivity, hustle culture, grind mode, no days off. We wear busyness like a badge of honor, equating our self-worth with how much we can check off a to-do list, or how seamlessly we can juggle multiple roles and responsibilities. The problem is, this endless pursuit of productivity isn't sustainable. In fact, it's one of the primary culprits behind the brain fog so many of us struggle with. When you're constantly on the move mentally or physically, your brain doesn't have the chance to process, rest, or recover. It's like driving a car at full speed without ever stopping to refuel. Eventually, the tank runs empty and the vehicle sputters to a halt. Overproductivity isn't just about physical exhaustion. It's about mental and emotional overload too. Every day, we're inundated with information, emails, notifications, news updates, and social media feeds that never seem to end. This constant flow of information creates what researchers call cognitive overload. Our brains, while capable of incredible things, have limits. They can only process so much at a time. When we push beyond those limits, clarity gives way to confusion, focus dissolves into distraction, and energy turns into fatigue. The myth of multitasking compounds this issue. Many of us pride ourselves on our ability to juggle multiple tasks at once, thinking it's a sign of efficiency. But studies show that multitasking actually reduces productivity and increases errors. More importantly, it taxes the brain in ways that contribute to mental fatigue. Each time we switch from one task to another, our brain has to recalibrate, using up precious mental resources. It's no wonder that, by the end of the day, we're left feeling drained and foggy. The cultural glorification of busyness adds another layer to the problem. Think about how we respond when someone asks, "How are you?" More often than not, the answer is busy. It's almost as if saying we're not busy implies laziness or lack of ambition. But this mindset traps us in a cycle of constant striving, where rest and downtime are seen as indulgences rather than necessities. The rise of digital technology has amplified these challenges. Smartphones, laptops, and tablets make it possible to work, communicate, and consume information anytime, anywhere. While this connectivity has its benefits, it also blurs the boundaries between work and rest. We're always reachable, always scrolling, always consuming. This perpetual connectivity keeps our brains in a state of heightened alertness, preventing the deep rest and reflection needed for mental clarity. So what's the cost of overproductivity? It's more than just brain fog. It's burnout, a state of chronic stress that impacts not only our mental clarity, but our emotional well-being, relationships, and even physical health. Burnout leaves us feeling detached, unmotivated, and unable to cope with the demands of daily life. It's the ultimate paradox. The harder we push ourselves to be productive, the less effective and fulfilled we become. Breaking free from the culture of overproductivity requires a fundamental shift in mindset. First, we need to redefine what productivity means. It's not about doing more, but doing what matters. It's about focusing on the tasks and activities that align with our values and bring us closer to our goals. This might mean saying no to certain commitments, delegating tasks, or simply accepting that we can't do it all. Second, we need to prioritize quality over quantity. In a world that celebrates multitasking, single tasking is a revolutionary act. By giving our full attention to one thing at a time, we can work more efficiently and experience a greater sense of accomplishment. Third, we need to recognize the importance of rest and recovery. Rest isn't the opposite of productivity, it's an essential part of it. Just as athletes incorporate rest days into their training routines to prevent injury and improve performance, we need to build rest into our daily lives to sustain mental clarity and energy. Finally, we need to cultivate mindfulness and presence. When we're fully present in the moment, we're less likely to feel overwhelmed by the demands of the past or future. Mindfulness practices like meditation or deep breathing can help calm the mind and create the mental space needed for clarity. The culture of overproductivity is deeply ingrained, but it's not unchangeable. By challenging the norms that equate busyness with success and embracing a more balanced approach to work and life, we can reclaim our mental clarity and well-being. After all, true productivity isn't about how much we do, it's about how we feel while doing it. In a world where complexity often seems like a badge of honor, simplicity can feel counterintuitive. We're conditioned to believe that the more we do, the better will be. That success is measured by how many tasks we complete, how many roles we juggle, or how much information we can process. But here's the truth: complexity creates chaos, and chaos clouds the mind. If brain fog is the problem, simplicity is the solution. Simplicity isn't about cutting corners or lowering expectations, it's about creating clarity by focusing on what truly matters. When we embrace simplicity, we make space for our minds to rest, recalibrate, and ultimately thrive. It's about removing the noise, the distractions, and the unnecessary stressors that pull us in 1,000 directions. Let's break down how simplicity can serve as the antidote to brain fog. At its core, simplicity begins with understanding what matters most. When you're facing mental fog, it's tempting to try and tackle everything at once, but this only compounds the problem. Clarity comes when we prioritize. Instead of spreading yourself thin, focus on the one or two things that are truly important. Ask yourself what must be done today. What can wait? By narrowing your focus, you reduce the mental load and free your brain to concentrate on what's essential. Simplicity doesn't mean ignoring responsibilities, it means approaching them with intention and clarity. Our routines often overflow with activities and commitments, leaving little room for reflection or mental rest. Simplifying your day-to-day life can have profound effects on your mental clarity. This might mean decluttering your schedule, saying no to commitments that don't align with your priorities, or even simplifying how you approach your work. Start small, streamline your morning routine, designate blocks of time for focused work, and give yourself permission to take breaks. These simple adjustments create a rhythm that supports your mind rather than overwhelms it. We live in an era of constant information bombardment: news, social media, emails, podcasts, and more. While it's great to stay informed, overconsumption of information contributes significantly to brain fog. Our brains aren't designed to process an endless stream of data without rest. Simplicity in information consumption means being intentional about what you take in. Limit your news intake to specific times of day, curate your social media feeds, and set boundaries around screen time. By reducing the cognitive load of unnecessary information, you create space for clarity and focus. The spaces we inhabit influence how we think and feel. Cluttered environments often lead to cluttered minds. Simplifying your surroundings can have an immediate and positive impact on your mental state. Take time to organize your workspace or the areas where you spend most of your time. A clean, calm environment fosters a sense of control and makes it easier to concentrate. Minimalism in your physical space translates to mental clarity. When your surroundings are in order, your thoughts often follow suit. Our social connections are vital to our well-being, but not all relationships contribute positively to our mental clarity. Some relationships drain our energy, create stress, or add unnecessary complexity to our lives. Simplicity in relationships doesn't mean cutting people off, but rather being mindful of the energy you invest. Focus on nurturing connections that uplift and support you. Create boundaries where needed, and surround yourself with people who align with your values and priorities. We often set high, unrealistic expectations for ourselves, adding unnecessary pressure and stress. Simplifying your expectations doesn't mean lowering your standards, it means being realistic about what you can achieve without compromising your well-being. Give yourself permission to let go of perfectionism. Recognize that you don't have to do it all, and it's okay to ask for help. When you simplify your expectations, you free yourself from the weight of constant self-criticism and open the door to greater clarity and peace. Ultimately, simplicity isn't just a practice, it's a mindset. It's a way of approaching life that values clarity over chaos, quality over quantity, and intentionality over impulsiveness. It's about choosing to focus on what truly matters and letting go of what doesn't. When you adopt a mindset of simplicity, you begin to see opportunities to clear mental clutter everywhere. You stop chasing after every distraction, every fleeting opportunity, and every societal expectation. Instead, you center yourself in what feels meaningful and fulfilling. The beauty of simplicity is that it's contagious. When you simplify one area of your life, it often spills over into others. A simplified schedule creates more time for rest and reflection. A decluttered environment leads to clearer thinking. Healthier boundaries in relationships foster greater emotional resilience. As these positive changes build on each other, the mental fog that once felt all-encompassing begins to lift. Clarity emerges not as a fleeting moment, but as a sustainable state of mind. In today's hyper-connected world, we often misunderstand rest. We tend to equate it solely with sleep or short breaks between tasks, but true rest goes far beyond these definitions. It is a deliberate act of allowing the mind and body to pause, recharge, and reset. In the context of battling brain fog, understanding the essence of rest and incorporating it into our lives is a game changer. At its core, rest is about balance. It's about stepping back from the relentless demands of productivity and giving our minds the freedom to exist without pressure or expectation. Brain fog often arises when we deny ourselves this crucial balance. When we push through fatigue, ignore the signs of overstimulation, and attempt to think clearly despite mental exhaustion. To regain clarity, we must embrace rest as a fundamental component of our well-being. While sleep is a non-negotiable pillar of rest, it is not the entirety of it. Sleep deprivation certainly exacerbates brain fog as our brains use sleep to process information, consolidate memories, and clear out metabolic waste. However, even with adequate sleep, mental fatigue can persist if other forms of rest are neglected. Mental rest involves intentionally stepping away from tasks that require cognitive effort. This could mean taking short breaks during work, engaging in lighthearted activities that don't demand deep focus, or simply letting your mind wander. It's about giving your brain the space it needs to recover from continuous effort. Sensory rest is another overlooked aspect. In a world saturated with screens, notifications, and constant noise, our senses are often on high alert. Over time, this overstimulation leads to mental fatigue and fog. Sensory rest involves reducing this input, turning off devices, spending time in quiet environments, or engaging in calming activities like yoga or meditation. Creative rest is equally vital. It's the kind of rest that rejuvenates our imagination and problem-solving abilities. It doesn't require artistic talent. It could be as simple as immersing yourself in nature, listening to music, or appreciating art. These experiences inspire the mind, offering fresh perspectives and easing mental strain. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate true rest is by disconnecting from technology. Our brains aren't designed to process the sheer volume of information we consume daily through emails, social media, and 24/7 news cycles. This constant influx of data clutters our mental space, leaving little room for creativity or clarity. Unplugging doesn't have to mean a complete digital detox. It can be as simple as setting boundaries, such as turning off notifications after a certain hour, designating tech-free times, or practicing mindfulness instead of scrolling. When we reduce digital noise, we allow our brains to return to a more natural rhythm, one that fosters rest and focus. In a society that glorifies busyness, the idea of doing nothing can feel uncomfortable, even guilt-inducing. Yet this practice is one of the most restorative forms of rest. Doing nothing doesn't mean wasting time. It means intentionally stepping away from tasks and responsibilities to let your mind wander freely. Research shows that moments of idleness are not only restful but also essential for creativity and problem solving. When we stop consciously directing our thoughts, the brain's default mode network activates, processing information in the background and generating insights. It's during these moments of so-called daydreaming that breakthroughs often occur. Physical rest is another cornerstone of combating brain fog. This doesn't only involve sleep, but also includes activities that relax the body and release tension. Gentle movement practices like stretching, yoga, or Tai Chi can help calm the nervous system, improve blood flow to the brain, and reduce stress. Even deep breathing exercises can make a profound difference. When we're stressed, our breathing tends to become shallow, reducing oxygen flow to the brain and worsening mental fatigue. Taking a few minutes to practice slow, deep breaths can reset this cycle, promoting relaxation and mental clarity. The truth is, resting well is a skill that requires intention and practice. It's about recognizing the signs of mental exhaustion and honoring the need to pause. It's about creating rituals and routines that prioritize rest rather than treating it as an afterthought. For example, incorporating short breaks throughout your day can prevent mental fatigue from building up. The Pomodoro technique, which alternates focused work sessions with brief breaks, is a simple yet effective way to integrate rest into your workflow. Another powerful practice is scheduling time for rest, just as you would for a meeting or appointment. Whether it's 15 minutes of quiet reflection in the morning or an hour-long walk in the evening, protecting this time is essential for sustaining mental clarity. Rest doesn't just combat brain fog, it builds resilience. When we prioritize rest, we're better equipped to handle challenges, adapt to change, and maintain focus under pressure. Rest is what allows us to recover from setbacks and return to our work or responsibilities with renewed energy and perspective. This resilience extends beyond the mind to the body as well. Chronic stress and overwork can lead to physical symptoms like headaches, muscle tension, and fatigue, all of which worsen brain fog. Rest interrupts this cycle, allowing both the mind and body to heal and function at their best. To make rest a regular part of your life, start with small, manageable changes. Create habits that signal your brain it's time to wind down, such as reading, journaling, or meditating before sleep. Dedicate specific periods each day to be offline and fully present. During the day, step away from work to breathe, stretch, or simply look out the window. Reflecting on positive moments in your day can reduce stress and promote a sense of peace. Experiment with yoga, art, or nature walks to find what helps you feel most at ease. Ultimately, rest is an act of self-compassion. It's a way of acknowledging that you're human, not a machine. It's a recognition that your worth isn't measured by your productivity, but by your well-being. By embracing rest, you're giving yourself the gift of clarity, focus, and resilience, the very tools you need to show up fully in your life. In our fast-paced, productivity-driven world, we often underestimate the power of connection as a vital form of nourishment for our brains. Yet the evidence is clear: moments of genuine connection, whether with others, ourselves, or the world around us, are deeply restorative and essential for mental clarity. Let's dive into what this means and how we can intentionally incorporate it into our lives. At its core, our brain is a social organ. From an evolutionary perspective, humans are hardwired for connection. Our brains thrive when we experience trust, understanding, and belonging. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, is released during moments of meaningful connection, reducing stress and promoting feelings of safety and calm. These chemical shifts directly counteract the mental haze caused by brain fog. On the flip side, isolation, loneliness, and lack of connection can impair cognitive functioning, increase stress levels, and worsen the sensation of mental fog. Even in a crowded world, the absence of genuine, nourishing connections can leave us feeling drained and scatterbrained. The remedy lies in cultivating relationships in moments that truly matter. In an era dominated by text messages and social media, it's easy for our interactions to become surface level. But our brains crave depth. Engaging in heartfelt conversations where we feel seen, heard, and valued can significantly improve mental clarity. It's not just about talking, but truly listening, creating a safe space for vulnerability and understanding. Schedule time for meaningful talks with loved ones. Practice active listening, focusing fully on the person speaking without distractions. Share your thoughts and emotions authentically to foster deeper bonds. Laughter is often described as the best medicine, and for good reason. When we laugh, our brain releases endorphins, which help reduce stress and create a sense of well-being. Laughter also increases oxygen flow to the brain, enhancing focus and creativity. Spend time with people who make you laugh. Watch a comedy show or funny videos to lighten your mood. Don't take yourself too seriously, embrace moments of silliness and joy. Connection isn't just about others, it's also about how we connect with ourselves. In the hustle of daily life, we often neglect our inner world, leaving little room for self-reflection and self-compassion. Reconnecting with ourselves is a powerful way to combat brain fog and restore mental clarity. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment. It helps quiet the noise of overthinking and reduces the cognitive overload that contributes to brain fog. Mindfulness can be as simple as taking a few deep breaths to ground yourself, noticing the details around you, a tree, a breeze, or the warmth of sunlight, journaling your thoughts to process and understand your inner state. Often, brain fog is exacerbated by self-criticism. When we feel frustrated with ourselves for not thinking clearly or keeping up, it creates a cycle of stress and mental fatigue. Instead, offer yourself kindness and grace. Recognize that clarity is not a constant state. It's okay to feel foggy sometimes. Beyond human relationships and self-reflection, connecting with the natural world is another powerful way to nourish your brain. Studies have shown that spending time in nature reduces cortisol levels, improves concentration, and enhances overall mental well-being. Take a walk in a park, forest, or near a body of water. Engage your senses, listen to the birds, feel the grass under your feet, and breathe in the fresh air. Leave your phone behind or keep it in your pocket to fully immerse yourself in the experience. If you can't spend time outside, bring elements of nature into your space. Houseplants, natural light, and even images of landscapes can have calming effects on the brain. Sometimes the best way to nourish your brain through connection is by intentionally disconnecting from the digital world. The constant notifications, emails, and information streams can create a mental clutter that disconnects us from ourselves and others. Set boundaries for screen time, especially in the morning and evening. Create tech-free zones or periods during your day to focus on real-world interactions. Use this time to engage in activities that foster connection, such as playing board games with family, having dinner with friends, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts. Creating space for connection doesn't require dramatic life changes. Small, intentional actions can make a significant impact over time. Start your day with gratitude, reflecting on the people and moments you cherish. Make it a habit to call a friend or family member once a week. Plan outings or activities that allow you to connect with others or nature. By weaving connection into the fabric of your life, you create a foundation of mental clarity and emotional resilience. When we nourish our brains through connection, we're not just helping ourselves, we're contributing to a collective well-being. Every act of kindness, every moment of laughter, every shared experience creates a ripple effect that enhances not only our mental clarity, but also the lives of those around us. Connection is not a luxury, it's a necessity. In a world that often pulls us apart, choosing to connect deeply, intentionally, and joyfully is one of the simplest yet most profound ways to clear the fog and find clarity again. We live in a world where more is constantly equated with better. More responsibilities, more commitments, more inputs, and more expectations. But let me ask you this, how often do you stop to assess what all of this more is costing you? Because the truth is, every time we add something to our mental or emotional load, we are taking up space that could otherwise be used for clarity, creativity, and peace of mind. Letting go is not just a practical act, it's an emotional and psychological one. It requires us to acknowledge that we can't carry everything and we shouldn't have to. This isn't a failure, it's a reality of being human. Our minds are designed to process, not hoard. When we hold on to too much, whether it's physical clutter, unresolved emotions, or an overpacked schedule, we create mental congestion that leaves little room for clear thinking or decision making. Letting go often begins with identifying what's no longer serving us. This could be outdated commitments that no longer align with our values, toxic relationships that drain our energy, or even the narratives we tell ourselves about who we're supposed to be. Each of these things takes up valuable mental real estate, and if we're not careful, they can crowd out the clarity we're seeking. One of the most overlooked sources of mental fog is our relationship with stress. Stress accumulates in layers. A tough day at work, an unresolved argument, an unrealistic deadline, each of these adds a new layer to the mental burden we carry. And yet, we rarely pause to consciously release that stress. Letting go here means finding ways to process and discharge what we're holding on to, whether it's through mindfulness, therapy, journaling, or simply giving ourselves permission to step away. Another layer to this is the noise we allow into our lives. Think about how much information you consume in a single day, from news updates and social media to the endless stream of emails and messages. Every piece of information requires processing, even if it's just subconsciously. This constant influx creates mental clutter, which can leave us feeling overwhelmed and scattered. Letting go here might look like setting boundaries around when and how you consume information, or even taking intentional breaks to unplug. But letting go isn't just about subtraction, it's also about addition, adding clarity, intention, and alignment to your life. When we release what no longer serves us, we create room for the things that truly matter. Imagine your mind as a garden. When it's overgrown with weeds, it's hard for anything beautiful to flourish. But when you clear the weeds, you create space for flowers to grow. The same is true for our mental and emotional landscape. Letting go also requires courage. It's not always easy to admit that something you've invested time, energy, or even love into is no longer right for you. But clarity demands honesty. It asks us to confront the areas of our lives where we're holding on out of fear of change, fear of judgment, or fear of the unknown. Letting go is an act of trust that by releasing what's weighing us down, we are making room for something better. One powerful way to practice letting go is to adopt a mindset of intentionality. Instead of letting life happen to you, take a step back and ask yourself, what am I choosing to carry today? Because the truth is, not everything deserves your attention, energy, or mental space. When you approach your day with this level of intentionality, you empower yourself to let go of what doesn't align with your priorities. Finally, letting go is a practice, not a one-time event. It's something we have to do repeatedly, in small and big ways. Whether it's decluttering your physical space, setting boundaries with people who drain you, or releasing the guilt of not being perfect, each act of letting go brings you one step closer to mental clarity. Over time, these small acts accumulate, creating a profound sense of spaciousness and freedom in your mind and life. So remember, this letting go isn't about losing something, it's about gaining clarity, focus, and the capacity to be fully present. It's a gift you give yourself, a gift that opens the door to a clearer, lighter, and more intentional way of being.